What is going on, guys? This is Jamie with Tucker, and I wanted to do a quick video of how to set up your new Ultimate Residential kit, whether you got the Rival or the H2 Pro in the water-powered version or the 110 version. Either way, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to show you exactly what everything entails, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. All right. So first and foremost, you have the machine. All right. So this is a single RO 40-inch with a DI and a combo sediment paper filter, okay? What this does is it filtrates the water down to 0 to 10 parts per million ppm, which your TDS meter that you get will read for you, okay? And I'll go through how to read that later. But what it does is it filters it down to a certain level, 0 to 10, so you can clean glass with it, so you can clean solar with it effectively without leaving spots behind, okay? This specific setup, which is the Ultimate Residential setup, comes with everything that you guys see here. So you have 4 different brushes. You have a reel with 150 feet of 3/8-inch hose on it. You have 100 feet of 5/16 water-fed hose, which goes inside the brush or the pole. And then you have depending on the options that you chose, you have a Tucker 30 or a Tucker 40, and you have a Tucker Junior that goes along with that, okay? The longer poles are great for, second, 2.5 stories. And then the Junior is really good for either trad work or first story cleanings. Now, let's go through the system itself. So the system, how you hook up the system, you just got it. It does come with instructions that has everything involved with it. You also have an extra DI and an extra carbon. So for your first change, people ask me all the time, how often do I change these? It totally depends on what your incoming TDS from the spigot that you're using is. The higher the TDS, the more often you're going to have to change these. To put it in perspective, I don't use this system. I use the Tucker Max output system paired with the delivery fill and go. And I have to change my DIs every 6 to 8 months. It is a much bigger DI, and I have to change my separate carbon and sediment filters, paper filter every probably once a month, once every 3 weeks. So that kind of gives you, gauge. And to put it in perspective, my TDS is about 300. All right. So that kind of gauges you. Now your RO is going to last you as long as you take care of it. 1 to 5 years, okay? And then that totally depends also on your TDS. I'm on year 3 of mine. It is best practice to flush this system out in flush mode after the day is done. Never let these freeze. Never leave these outside. Yes, water is going to stay in them. You do not want the water to completely exit out of the filters because the filters will follow. Okay, they will get dried out, they will develop bacteria, and you don't want that to happen. Pay close attention what the instructions say. The instruction is going to guide you on the setup process, and one of the things you have to do is install your DI. When you install the DI, the system comes with these. The smaller one is for your carbon and sediment. The bigger one is for your DI. You just clamp it on like this and use it as kind of a wrench and unwind it that way. When you install your DI filter, there's a black ring that goes on top. So you're going to set it in just like this. You're going to screw the canister back on and you're good to go. The carbon and sediment and the RO are already inside the housings. You do not have to worry about installing those. When you first put water through the rival system, you do not have to do anything special. On the H2 Pro and on the H2 Pro 110, you do have to isolate the specific carbon that is installed, and you have to flush out the carbon to get all of the black charcoal out of that before you enter it into your RO. So pay close attention to that, and I can go into that a little bit later. When you first introduce water to your system, the inlet is up here by your carbon and sediment combo filter. That's where the hose goes into. Never use a pocket hose. Those restrict the water flow. Use a 3/4 inch garden hose. You don't want it too long, but I think anywhere between, 100 to 150 feet is probably fine. But realistically, you want the reel and the water fed hose to do your reaching. So, probably 20 feet, probably be good, 10 to 40 feet, somewhere in there for your lead hose going into your system from the spigot. After you hook that up, then you can put the cart is already going to be in flush mode, and you can see that right here there's a valve that you can turn on and off. When it's open, it's going to go all out of the bottom of the cart. That is flush mode. Okay, when you close that, then you are going to start seeing it coming out of the other areas. These carts have what's called a DI saver mode. And what that is it's a tap on the top of your RO that isolates the RO from the DI. And what I recommend before you use this thing at any house, okay, allow the RO to do the work. Allow the RO to get that water down to workable levels so you don't blow it all into your DI, which will age your DI a lot faster that way. We didn't used to have that. This is kind of a new Tucker thing, and it's very helpful for long-term use of your DI. The reason it's called DI saver is because if you're getting 0 to 10 parts per million out of that top of your RO when it's in RO only mode, then you do not have to use your DI. Your DI can be saved that way. Now, most of the time, most of the country, you're going to need the multi-stages, okay? So when you get that number, probably somewhere between 15 and 30, it's going to bottom out. You're going to flip it into DI mode. There's a lead hose on your reel, okay? This is what screws into the DI, all right? And you screw it in this way, so it's attached, okay? And now you can use your 3/8-inch hose, because now since you put it in DI mode, it's going to come out of the DI portion. When you first start using this, everything is going to be a little bit slower until it gets soaked. It's especially going to be a little bit slower on your RO the first couple days until your RO gets really soaked and worked in, okay? So after you have that coming out, water will consistently come out of the flush bypass, okay? I call it the trash chute. It's going to come out whether you have this thing open or closed. When you have it all the way open, all the water is going to come out of the flush valve. When it's closed and you start seeing it come out of your RO or your DI, depending on what you have the DI saver mode at, then water's still going to be coming out of the bottom. It's just now going to be coming out of the rest of your system, so you can use levels. One big thing I get asked about the rivals: why don't I have much pressure? With these systems, there's no pump on board. Now, you can introduce a pump if you'd like, but these systems do not have any proprietary pump on board. So now you're at the mercy of whatever spigot you're using, okay? So if you go into a house and you have a 45, maybe 40 or below PSI, you're not going to get much flow out of these. Your RO is already slowing down that flow a little bit because of what it has to do to clean the water. So what I recommend is, if you're having problems, if you run into a lot of houses on well that may have lower PSI, you can pick up our booster pump. It is a fantastic pump that will get you to the levels where you can be to clean. Without a pump, this system will put out 1 gallon per minute. With a pump, specifically Tucker's pump, you'll get closer to 1.5 to 1.4, which is a lot considering, okay? Especially coming out of your brush, all right? So now you have the water hooked up, you have it coming out, everything's flowing good. Now you need to test the water in certain spots, right? So what you do is, this comes with a TDS meter, and what this does is it reads the level of the water. So what you do is, you have the cap and you have the meter. You can press on, okay? Sometimes the batteries are blocked or whatever, so just take the battery off and just make sure there's no slip in there blocking it. But you turn it on, and now you can fill the cap with the water you want to test, put it back on, and then it's going to give you a reading, all right? Anything between 0 and 10 is a really safe bet to clean with. Anything higher than 10, I don't recommend it because you risk spotting. Like I said, if you're getting 0 to 10 out of the DI only or the RO only up there, you're good to go. If not, most likely, you're going to have to open up your DI, and I would still measure it coming out of your DI after a minute or two, okay? Because you always want to make sure that that water is between 0 and 10. You're most likely going to be at 0, all right? It's going to say 0 for a couple weeks, and then it's going to go to 1, and then 2, and then 3. And probably after a few months, you're going to start seeing that TDS creep up. And then you're going to start thinking about, okay, what filters do I need to change? This carbon and sediment filter is see-through, so you can really see when that gets extremely dirty. You really don't need to change it unless you see a flow change or it's just extremely brown or orange. Or if you start seeing sand, okay, that's a problem. I highly recommend, even when you test things coming from the spigot, don't just turn on somebody's spigot or hook up the hose first, plug everything in, and then turn it on for the first time. You don't know what's going to come out of that spigot, okay? So what you want to do is open up their line, let the water flow out for maybe 2 minutes. Let it all flush out. You don't know the last time that was open. And then you can test it. Make sure it's not some astronomical number. If it's at 1,000, the system can still handle that. But now you're going to go through filters a little bit quicker, and you're going to call me saying, or call Tucker and say, hey, I'm going through filters. Why am I going through filters so fast? And well, it's because you just ran into a 1,200 to 1,000 TDS source and you didn't realize it. So always test the water coming out of the spigot before introducing it to your system. Okay. So now you have the system, you have it all hooked up, okay? It's coming out of your DI fast. It's all flowing well. Maybe you're at 0 to 10, you're at 0, okay? Now you can start hooking up the pole. And how you do that is you have a female male connection right here, okay? This hooks up to the water fed hose using a union, all right? You just screw this onto the other end of that, okay? And now you can stretch this out and insert it into your hole, okay? And how you do that, I'm going to use the smaller one here for reference. But what you do is you just take the end of that water-fed hose and you're going to stick it in here, all right? It's going to come out, here. What I recommend is before you put your brush on, all right, you're going to take it and feed it through the brush and have it come out here, and then hold it and then attach this. If not, it's extremely hard to get it through this and this all simultaneously, okay? And then once you do that, you have two options most of the time. You can either put it on your pencil jets, which come out of the brush itself, which is here, or you're gonna have one with a rinse bar, okay? This specific brush just has a rinse bar, and you can connect it to the rinse bar this way as well. We do have a connection that you can buy on tuckerusa.com that will hook up both simultaneously, but it's really not needed. It's a lot of flow. You don't really need that much flow. You kind of run into issues if you use the rinse bars. We don't like using rinse bars too much because we have a lot of oxidization here along the frames. Sometimes when you use these rinse bars, you run into trouble with oxidization because it's hitting the top of that frame while you're scrubbing the top of that pane of glass, okay? So just do your due diligence there. And now you got everything hooked up. It's coming out of the brush. You're getting good flow and you're ready to go, okay? And, like I said, it comes with different brushes that I'm going to go through a couple of these brushes so you can know the difference, okay? The first brush I'm going to go through right now is called the hybrid. So this is a nylon bristle surrounding a boar hair. And this does come with the locked system. Okay, you're gonna have two different necks in this setup. One's gonna be a swivel neck, one's gonna be a fixed locked neck. Okay, and what that does is that means it just clicks in just like that, and it's a more of a straight on. It doesn't move, it doesn't pivot. Okay, this is a good all-around clean. This has your boar hair, which cleans extremely well in the middle, and then the nylon around the edges. The nylon on this one is a little bit longer than a lot of your other brushes. People like to see it kind of splayed out on the glass a little bit more that way, but this is a good solid option. One thing I will go through too, how do I manipulate these necks? So there's a little screw right here, and I'll do a zoom in here too, but you can manipulate it just like that. The teeth are going to chatter, the teeth are going to move around. You just kind of hold it and then you just tighten up that wing nut again, okay? And then it tightens up to the kind of where you want it to go. This kit also comes with a mini scrubber. People ask, what is this mini scrubber for? It's going to come with an attachment just like this, and it just screws on just like this. The mini scrubber is fantastic for bird droppings, maybe something on the frames that you really can't get off with a brush. just things that the brush really can't handle. It's a harder scrub. The only issue I have with using attachments on the brushes like this, sometimes this will hit the upper frame. So when you try to scrub the glass, you're going to kind of get some resistance. So just you're going to have to just size it up and figure out where the best is for that. Okay. Another brush this comes with is the all boar hair. This is a good go-to. A lot of guys love using this. This is more of a flocked, softer bristle, but it scrubs extremely well. But with that good scrub comes with a caveat. It is a little bit harder on your shoulders. It's a little bit harder because there's more drag on the glass, but it does scrub extremely well. This comes with the adjusting swivel gooseneck here, okay? Any of these guys, if you want to switch up any of these necks, these two screws right here, you just pop those off and you can put any necks, swivel goosenecks or the lock system on these, big or small, however you want to do it. It works extremely well. It's just two screws, take on and off, and you're good to go. By the way, it also comes with an extra rinse bar. That is also how you attach the rinse bar. So you would take these two screws off, place this in there, put that back on, put the screws back on, and now you have it sitting right on top where you can adjust it as you need. Okay, boar hair is a great option. Another option, and this is more of a specialties thing. Some guys love these. This is great for hydrophobic glass, okay? Because hydrophobic glass needs a lot more scrubbing and rinsing than normal window glass, okay? And how you see that is normal glass will sheet, right? Hydrophobic glass will bead. It will bead up. The water does not want to be there. It's trying to get away, right? It doesn't like the glass. So you're going to see it beat up a lot more. This is the Alpha Scrubber. There is no pencil jets on these. It just comes with a rinse bar. It also comes with a swivel gooseneck that you can tighten a little bit if you need so. A lot of guys love these for, like I said, hydrophobic glass or bigger glass, right? That maybe needs a little bit more scrub. I love using this for hard water removal. I will put some hard water solution, Diamond Magic BioClean on this. A lot of the times it's lower glass, basements, first story. So I'll just hold this in my hand rather than put it on a brush. Or if I'm out of the hole, right? If it's a basement, I'll put it on a Tucker Junior. And I won't introduce the water yet, but what I will do is I'll put my solution on here and then I'll scrub it while it's dry. And that allows that solution to really get into that hard water, do its job. Never let it dry. Most of them read the label and what you're going to use, whether it be BioClean, Diamond Magic, or any of those, right? And then, when I think it's a good enough scrub and nothing is drying yet and everything is going well, maybe 30 seconds, 90 seconds later, I'll turn on the system and now you can just start cleaning it like you would a typical window, using the water fed to rinse all that solution away. That's a really good way to use these, but a lot of guys just like these for cleaning in general. I'm more of a brush guy. And then for last, in the brush category that also comes with the lock system is the Glide. This is my favorite. My guys love this brush. This is a more synthetic material brush that, in my opinion, scrubs like the boar hair, but it's got the resistance of the nylon. So you're not going to have that drag that you would have with the boar hair. I love this. This is lasting our guys months and months. It's got a really flocked, soft feel. The bristles aren't super short, but they aren't as long as the nylon, but they still do the job extremely well. Just a little side note, we do have all these brushes. All these brushes in this specific kit come in the 11 inch. We do have these, almost all of these in 17 inches as well for you to utilize. Something else that comes with this kit is the Acme tip plus the cone. Okay, and what they do is they go into each other like this, right? Now you have a cone piece. This is for trad. So this allows you to make any of your poles a trad pole. There's a little lip on this right here, okay? So you just push it into your pole and then lock it in. And now you can put your strip washer, your squeegee, your duster, anything you need on this, and this will stay really well on here. So that is what that is for. Okay. Another thing that this comes with is an extra valve, bypass valve. And what this is good for, this goes into your 5/16 hose. And what guys normally do with this is they'll put it back on their hose a little bit, okay, away from the pole, because this won't go inside of the pole. So as the hose is in the pole, you want it back, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 feet, probably 20, 30 feet. And this allows you to stop the water flow if you need to without going all the way back to the machine, okay? So that's what that is for. It's an on and off valve. What you do is you just splice your hose, connect it on each end, and you're good to go on that, okay? This does come with an extra neck as well for a locked system, and it also comes with a new Velcro for your Alpha scrubber, okay? And that's how these work. They go on just like this. You'll get some extra pads as well. And then this part right here is the extra part that you get with that whenever eventually it's going to lose its Velcro. And then you just reattach it that way. But that's how these go on. They just Velcro on just like that, and then they'll stick for you. Now, tear down procedure. When you're done using this, specifically at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to turn the system into flush mode just by switching this valve right here. You're going to see your PSI go down, and now it's in flush mode. All the water's coming out of the bottom, and I do recommend that as you maybe clean up the hose, as you clean up everything, and letting this thing just, at the end of the day, last job of the day, flush out for 2 to 4 minutes. It will help flush a lot of these contaminants out, and it'll make kind of just everything last a little bit longer. This system can operate standing up or laying down, all right? Another quick note, on this reel, I'll do a zoom in feature, but there is a locking mechanism on this reel. So there's a blue little tip on here, and you can pull that out and move it over, and that will lock or unlock your reel. So if you see your reel and it's kind of hard to pull out, adjust that blue locking pin up and down, okay? And then that's going to help you lock and unlock that reel for future use. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. I hope I did a decent job of explaining this to you and how to set up your system, how it works. I can go more in depth about cleaning in another video, but I hope this works. You can find these at tuckerusa.com. You can call or text me. You can email me, jamie@rhgproducts.com. You can email or, you can text or call me at 269-769-8849. I'd be happy to assist you, especially if you purchased from me directly. If you're looking to upgrade to a system like this or just looking or have questions, you can text or call or email me as well. Hope you enjoy.